She lost her husband, her home, and her dignity in one afternoon. But when a small-town lawyer arrived with a document no one knew existed, the family that threw her out discovered they'd made a fatal mistake. The heat pressed down on Magnolia Springs like judgment itself. Humidity hung thick in the air, making every breath feel like drowning. Cicadas screamed from the live oaks that lined the driveway of the Hammond estate, their song rising and falling in waves that matched her heartbeat. She stood on the front porch with her 3 children, ages 6, 4, and 18 months, watching her mother-in-law direct 2 men as they loaded her belongings into garbage bags. Not boxes, not suitcases, black trash bags like her life was refused to be discarded. "You have 1 hour," Eleanor Hammond said without looking at her. Her voice was cold, cultured, absolutely certain. "Then I'm calling the sheriff." "This is my home," she said quietly, holding her baby on her hip while her 2 older children clung to her legs. "James left it to me. To us." Eleanor finally turned, her expression carved from marble and contempt. "My son left everything to his family. His real family. Not some girl he met at a diner who trapped him with pregnancy." The words hit like slaps, each one designed to wound. "We were married for 7 years. 7 years of you spending his money, living in luxury you never earned, pretending you belonged here." Eleanor stepped closer, her perfume overwhelming in the heat. "The will is clear. This house, the business, the accounts, everything goes to the Hammond Family Trust. You get nothing. I saw the will. James showed me. He left the house to me and the children. You saw a draft. This," Eleanor pulled a document from her designer purse, "is the actual will executed 3 weeks before he died. Signed, witnessed, legal. You have no claim here." She took the document with shaking hands, baby squirming against her chest. Read it through tears that made the words swim. It looked real, official, notarized stamps. Her husband's signature at the bottom, shaky but recognizable. He'd been sick by then, the cancer eating through him. But it was wrong. Everything in it was wrong. The estate to his mother. The business to his brother. A trust fund for the children to be administered by Eleanor Hammond. Nothing for her except a single line. "To my wife, I leave my personal effects and the sum of $10,000. This isn't what he wanted," she whispered. "What he wanted was to protect his children from a gold digger. Now get out of my house." Her 6-year-old daughter started crying. Her 4-year-old son pressed his face into her leg, trembling. The baby wailed, sensing the tension. "Please, just give us a few days to find somewhere. You have 53 minutes now. Sheriff's on speed dial." She gathered what she could, clothes, diapers, a few toys. The men Eleanor hired threw everything into the bags without care. A picture frame shattered. Her daughter's favorite doll disappeared into the pile. They loaded everything into her 10-year-old sedan, the only thing she'd brought to the marriage, the only thing Eleanor couldn't take. As she buckled the children into their car seats, her daughter looked up at her with red, swollen eyes. "Mommy, where are we going?" She didn't have an answer. She drove to the only place she could think of, her friend Maria's apartment above the diner where she used to work before James, before the big house and the life that turned out to be borrowed. Maria opened the door, took one look at her face, and pulled her inside. "What happened?" She told the story in fragments, interrupted by crying children and her own breaking voice. "You need a lawyer," Maria said. "I can't afford a lawyer. I have $10,000 and 3 kids. There's a guy, Tom Peterson, works out of that old office on Main Street. Does pro bono work. Let me call him." That night, she slept on Maria's couch with all 3 children pressed against her, the baby on her chest, the older 2 curled on either side. Through the window, she could see the lights of the Hammond estate on the hill, the house where she'd lived for 7 years, where her children had been born, where her husband had died 3 months ago promising her everything would be okay. He'd been wrong. Or had he? Something nagged at her about that will. The signature was right, but the words were wrong. James would never have left her with nothing, would never have given his mother control over their children. In the morning, she'd call the lawyer Maria mentioned. In the morning, she'd start fighting back. But tonight, she just held her children and tried not to think about how she'd ended up here. 31 years old, widowed, homeless, with 3 babies depending on her and nothing but garbage bags full of clothes. The The cicadas sang outside, relentless. The heat never broke. And somewhere in that big house on the hill, Eleanor Hammond probably slept peacefully, certain she'd won. Tom Peterson's office sat above the hardware store on Main Street, accessed by a narrow staircase that smelled of wood varnish and summer heat. A faded sign read, Peterson Legal Services, Estate Planning, Probate, Family Law. She climbed the stairs slowly, baby on her hip, the other two children trailing behind. Her daughter carried a small backpack with coloring books. Her son dragged a stuffed elephant that had seen better days. The office was small but clean, files stacked neatly on metal shelves. A window air conditioner rattling but functional. A man in his 60s sat behind a desk covered in papers, reading glasses perched on his nose. He looked up when she entered. "You must be Anna," Maria called. "Sit, please." She settled the children with crayons and paper in the corner, then sat across from him, pulled out the will Eleanor had given her. Tom read it slowly, expression neutral. When he finished, he set it down and looked at her over his glasses. "Tell me about your husband." So she did. How they'd met when she was waitressing at the diner. How he'd come in every morning for coffee and eggs. How he'd asked her out 50 times before she finally said yes because she thought rich men only wanted one thing. How he'd proven her wrong. How he'd been kind, patient, genuine. How he'd proposed after 6 months and married her despite his mother's fury. How they'd had 3 children. How the cancer had come fast and vicious 2 years ago. How he'd fought it as long as he could. "He showed me a will," she said, 6 months before he died. He called it his real will. Said he'd hidden it somewhere safe because he didn't trust his mother not to interfere. Said the house and everything in it was mine. That the children's trust would be managed by me, not Eleanor. Did he say where he hid it? He said his lawyer had it. Garrison and Birch, the firm downtown. Tom frowned. "That's Eleanor's lawyer." "I know. When James died, they said the only will on file was the one Eleanor showed me. I thought maybe I'd misunderstood. Maybe the cancer medication had confused him. Maybe I'd imagined." "You didn't imagine it," Tom said quietly. "Your husband knew what he was doing. If he said he made a second will, he made it. Question is, where is it? Eleanor has his brother going through the house, his office, his personal effects. If there's another will, won't they find it? Only if they know what they're looking for. And only if your husband left it somewhere obvious." He leaned back in his chair. "Anna, I'm going to be honest with you. Challenging this will is expensive. Could take months, years even. And Eleanor Hammond has resources you don't." Her heart sank. "So I should just accept." "I didn't say that." He smiled slightly. "I said it's expensive. I didn't say I wouldn't help you. Maria's a good friend. And I don't like bullies. Especially rich ones who think money makes them right. I can't pay you. Contingency. If we win, I take a percentage of the estate. If we lose, you owe me nothing." "But Anna," his expression turned serious, "you need to understand what you're up against. Eleanor Hammond is connected. The judge is her golf partner. The prosecutor is her nephew. This town runs on Hammond money. So I've already lost. No, you just have to be smarter than they expect. Lucky thing, rich people tend to underestimate poor folks. Think we're too stupid or too scared to fight back. We're going to use that." He pulled out a legal pad. "First, we're filing a motion to challenge the will's authenticity. I want a handwriting expert to examine that signature. Something about it bothers me. It looks like his signature. Looks like maybe. But your husband was dying of cancer. His motor control would have been compromised. If someone forged this, and I think someone did, they'll have made mistakes a real signature wouldn't have." Hope flickered in her chest. "What else?" "We search for the other will. You said he mentioned hiding it somewhere safe. Think carefully, did he give you any hints? Any odd comments in those last few months?" She tried to remember. James had been in and out of consciousness those final weeks. Delirious sometimes from the medication, but there had been moments of clarity. "He kept talking about the library," she said slowly. "He'd say it's in the library, safe with the others. I thought he meant the family Bible. Eleanor took it the day after the funeral. Tom wrote that down. What else? He said something about red leather and his father's collection. But his father died before I met James. I don't know what collection he meant. His father collected anything? Stamps? Coins? Books? First editions, I think. James said the library was full of them. Worth a fortune. Tom's expression shifted. The Hammond family library is famous around here. Jasper Hammond, James's father, spent 40 years collecting rare books. When he died, he left the entire collection to James, not Eleanor. Pissed her off royally. I never saw it. Eleanor kept the library locked. Said the books were too valuable for children. But James had access. He had keys to everywhere in that house. Tom stood. Then that's where we start. The library. Your husband hid that will somewhere in those books. We just have to figure out which one. How do we get access? Eleanor will never let me back in that house. He smiled. She won't have a choice. I'm filing an emergency motion this afternoon for you to retrieve your husband's personal effects and sentimental items. The law requires her to allow supervised access. We go in, we search the library, we find that will. What if we don't find it? Then we fight anyway. But Anna, he looked at her directly. I think we're going to find it, because your husband loved you. And men who love their wives don't leave them with nothing. Judge Harold Whitmore granted the motion with obvious reluctance. Mrs. Hammond has 48 hours to retrieve personal items of sentimental value only, he said, not looking at her. Supervised by a court-appointed officer. No financial documents. No valuables. No furniture. Understood. Yes, Your Honor, Tom said. Eleanor's lawyer, Marcus Garrison, 60 expensive suits, stood. Your Honor, my client objects to this intrusion. Mrs. Hammond has already taken her personal. Your client threw my client's belongings into trash bags and had her forcibly removed. Tom interrupted. The court is simply ensuring she has the opportunity to retrieve items she couldn't carry in 1 hour. Judge Whitmore sighed. Motion granted. Mrs. Hammond may enter the property tomorrow at 10 a.m. For hours maximum. Sheriff's deputy will supervise. Outside the courthouse, Eleanor waited by a black Mercedes. She approached as Anna strapped the children into car seats. This is pointless, Eleanor said. There's nothing in that house for you except memories. And frankly, those are worthless. Anna straightened, met her eyes. If it's so pointless, why are you fighting it? Eleanor's expression hardened. Because that house is Hammond property. You were never a Hammond. You were just someone my son married in a moment of weakness. He loved me. He tolerated you. For the children's sake. Eleanor leaned closer. You were convenient. That's all. A womb in a warm body. The moment he got sick, he realized his mistake. That's why he changed the will. The words cut deep. Designed to. If that's true, Anna said quietly, then you won't mind me getting a few photo albums tomorrow. She drove away before Eleanor could respond. That night she couldn't sleep. Lay on Maria's couch staring at the ceiling while the children slept around her. Tomorrow she'd go back to that house. Walk through rooms where she'd lived for 7 years. See the nursery where she'd rocked her babies. The bedroom where James had died. And she'd search the library for a document that might not exist. What if Tom was wrong? What if James really had changed his mind in those final weeks? What if the cancer had made him see things differently, see her differently? No. She remembered his last coherent day. 3 days before he died. He'd squeezed her hand and whispered, It's all taken care of. You and the babies. Promise me you won't let her take them. She'd promised. And she'd keep that promise. The next morning, she arrived at the Hammond estate at exactly 10 a.m. A sheriff's deputy, young, uncomfortable, waited by his cruiser. Mrs. Hammond? I'm Deputy Collins. I'll be supervising your access. Tom pulled up in his own car. Anna. Ready. She nodded, though her stomach churned. The house looked different. Or maybe she looked different. Like seeing a movie set after the cameras stopped rolling. Beautiful but hollow. Eleanor stood in the doorway. 4 hours. Not a minute longer. They entered the foyer. Anna headed straight for the library, the children trailing behind, awed by the house they barely remembered. The library doors were locked. Open them, Tom said to Eleanor. I don't have the key. Then get it. Or we'll have Deputy Collins call a locksmith. Your choice. Eleanor disappeared, returned 5 minutes later with a brass key. Unlocked the doors with obvious reluctance. The library took Anna's breath away. She'd only been inside twice before. James had shown her once when they were engaged, and once more after they married. Eleanor had made it clear the space was off-limits after that. Floor-to-ceiling shelves lined every wall. Thousands of books. First editions in protective sleeves. Leather-bound volumes from centuries past. A rolling ladder to access upper shelves. In the center, a massive desk. Leather chair. Reading lamp. You have 4 hours, Eleanor said. The clock is running. Tom nodded to Anna. Start with the red leather books. Look for anything that might be hollow or have hidden compartments. She searched while her children sat at the desk coloring. Pulled down book after book. Checked inside covers behind dust jackets between pages. Nothing. 2 hours passed. Deputy Collins shifted uncomfortably by the door. Eleanor watched from the hallway, smiling. Anna's hope faded with each empty book. Maybe he meant something else, she whispered to Tom. Maybe I misunderstood. Keep looking. We have 2 hours left. Her 4-year-old son tugged her sleeve. Mommy, I'm hungry. I know, baby. Just a little longer. Can I look at the pictures? He pointed to a large book on the bottom shelf. Oversized, red leather, gold embossing on the spine. Sure, honey. Just be careful. He pulled it out, struggled with the weight. Tom helped him set it on the desk. It was a family history. The Hammond legacy, 1887 to 1987. Photos and documents chronicling 4 generations of Hammonds. Anna had seen it before. James had shown her their wedding photo in it. Her son flipped through pages looking at pictures. Then stopped. Mommy, this page is weird. She came over, looked where he pointed. 2 pages seemed thicker than others. Stuck together slightly. She ran her finger along the edge. Felt something between them. Carefully, she separated the pages. Inside, slipped between them like a bookmark, was an envelope. Sealed. Her name written on the front in James's handwriting. Her hand shook as she opened it. Inside, a letter. And a key. My dearest Anna, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry I couldn't be there to protect you and our children from my mother. She will try to take everything. She will use a false will. One I was forced to sign while heavily medicated. One that leaves everything to her. Do not believe it. The real will is in my safe deposit box at Magnolia Bank. Box 847. This key will open it. Mr. Peterson at Peterson Legal Services has a second key and knows the truth. I love you. I have always loved you. You are the best thing that ever happened to me. Fight for our children. Don't let her win. Yours forever. James. She read it twice, tears streaming down her face. Tom read over her shoulder, then smiled. A real smile, triumphant. We've got her, he said quietly. Eleanor appeared in the doorway. Time's up. You need to. We found it, Anna said, turning to face her. James's letter. Telling me where the real will is. Eleanor's face drained of color. That's not, you can't. Safe deposit box 847. Magnolia Bank. We're going there right now. That box doesn't exist. James never. Then you won't mind us checking. They left Eleanor standing in the library, frozen, her world crumbling around her. At the bank, the manager verified the box number. Tom presented his key, the one James had given him months before his death, just in case. We need a court order, the manager said nervously. We have one. Tom produced paperwork Judge Whitmore had signed that morning. Anticipating this exact scenario, the manager led them to the vault. Box 847 sat in the middle row. 2 keys turned simultaneously. Inside, a document. Last will and testament of James Robert Hammond, dated 6 months before his death. Notarized. Witnessed by Tom Peterson and Maria Santos. Leaving everything, the house, the business, the accounts, to Anna and the children. With one specific clause. My mother Eleanor Hammond is explicitly excluded from any role in the administration of my estate or the guardianship of my children due to her history of manipulation and control. Anna sat in a chair, legs suddenly weak. We won, Tom said quietly. Not yet, she said. But we will. Eleanor's lawyer filed an emergency motion within hours. This so-called real will is fraudulent, Marcus Garrison argued to Judge Whitmore the next morning. Conveniently discovered only after my client presented the legitimate will. Mrs. Hammond clearly forged this document in an attempt to steal the Hammond estate. Tom stood. Your Honor, this will was executed 6 months before Mr. Hammond's death and stored in a safe deposit box registered in his name. The bank has records showing the box was rented 2 years ago. Security footage shows Mr. Hammond accessing it 7 months ago. The witnesses, myself and Maria Santos, are prepared to testify to its authenticity. The signature could still be forged, Garrison said. Then let's have both wills examined by a handwriting expert, Tom suggested. Compare them. See which one holds up to scrutiny. Judge Whitmore looked uncomfortable. I'm ordering both documents submitted for independent forensic analysis. Until the results are in, the estate remains frozen. No assets distributed to either party. Your Honor, Garrison said, my client needs access to estate funds to maintain the property. Mrs. Anna Hammond also needs funds to support 3 minor children, Tom interrupted. I'm requesting the court release monthly support payments from the estate pending resolution. How much? The judge asked. $8,000 per month. That's what Mr. Hammond was providing before his death. Garrison exploded. $8,000 is excessive for someone who lived above her means on my client's son's generosity. My client has 3 children under 7, including an 18-month-old, Tom said calmly. Rent, food, clothing, medical expenses, and childcare while she seeks employment add up quickly. $8,000 is reasonable. Judge Whitmore rubbed his temples. I'll allow $4,000 per month from the estate. Both parties return in 2 weeks for the forensic results. Outside the courthouse, Anna felt simultaneously relieved and terrified. $4,000 would help. But if the forensics didn't support James's will, Eleanor caught her in the parking lot. You're making a mistake, she said. Not angry now. Almost gentle. This will drag on for months. Years maybe. You'll spend everything James left you on legal fees. The children will suffer. The children are suffering now, Anna said. Living in a 1-bedroom apartment, sleeping on couches. Because you're being stubborn. Eleanor stepped closer. I'm prepared to make you an offer. A fair one. Anna waited. $250,000. Plus a trust fund for each child. $50,000 each, accessible when they turn 18. That's $400,000 total. You drop the will challenge, and I'll write you a check today. $400,000. More money than she'd ever imagined having. She could buy a house. A small one, but theirs. Put the kids in good schools. Maybe even go back to school herself. What about James's last wishes? She asked. James was dying. Heavily medicated. He wasn't thinking clearly. That's why the first will exists. It's what he would have wanted if he'd been in his right mind. You mean it's what you wanted? Eleanor's expression hardened slightly. I raised James. I know what he would have wanted for his children. And it's not growing up in poverty with a mother who works 3 jobs and barely scrapes by. Take the money, Anna. Give those children a stable life. By letting you win? By being practical. You're a single mother with no education, no family support, and 3 small children. $400,000 is a lifeline. Don't be foolish enough to drown instead of grabbing it. That evening, Anna sat with Maria and Tom in Maria's tiny kitchen. What should I do? She asked. What do you want to do? Tom asked. I want to know James didn't die thinking I'd fail our children. Maria touched her hand. You could take the money. No one would blame you. I would blame me. Anna looked at her children sleeping in the next room. Her daughter with her arm around her baby brother, protecting him even in sleep. James fought for us. He made a plan, hid that will, tried to protect us from her. If I give up now, what was it all for? It's going to get worse before it gets better, Tom warned. Eleanor has money and connections. She'll make your life hell. She already has. What's a little more hell at this point? Tom smiled. Then we fight. But that night, lying awake on the couch, Anna wondered if she was making the right choice. $400,000 would solve so many problems. But it wouldn't give her children what James wanted them to have. And it wouldn't honor the man she'd loved. She thought of the letter he'd left her. Fight for our children. Don't let her win. Okay, James. I'm fighting. The forensic report arrived 11 days later. Anna sat in Tom's office, children coloring on the floor, while he read aloud. The first will, the one Eleanor presented, shows multiple indicators of forgery. The signature, while superficially similar to known exemplars of James Hammond's handwriting, exhibits characteristics inconsistent with natural writing. Specifically, uniform pressure throughout, lack of tremor despite the signer's known terminal illness, and several letter formations that differ from authenticated samples. Expert opinion. This signature was most likely traced or digitally reproduced. Anna's breath caught. The second will, found in the safe deposit box, exhibits characteristics entirely consistent with James Hammond's known handwriting, including tremor consistent with his medical condition at the time. Expert opinion. Authentic. Tom set down the report. We have them, Anna. The judge will have no choice but to invalidate Eleanor's will and uphold James's. When's the hearing? 3 days. Monday at 9 a.m. That weekend, Anna did something she hadn't done since James died. She went to church. The small Baptist church on Oak Street, where she and James had married, where they'd baptized all 3 children, where Father Matthews had presided over James's funeral. Father Matthews found her sitting in the back pew, baby on her lap, the older 2 playing quietly nearby. Anna, I haven't seen you in a while. Didn't feel welcome. Eleanor made sure everyone knew I was just a gold digger who trapped her son. He sat beside her. People who know you don't believe that. Not many people know me. I was James's wife, but I was never part of this town. Never part of this world. You're part of it now, whether you like it or not. She smiled bitterly. Lucky me. The hearing's Monday? You heard. Small town. Everyone's heard. Half the town is taking bets on whether you'll win. What are the odds? In your favor, actually. People remember James. Remember how happy he was with you. And they remember Eleanor, how she tried to control every aspect of his life. How she almost succeeded in preventing your marriage. Anna hadn't known that. She tried to stop it. Threatened to disinherit him if he married you. James didn't care. Said you were worth more than all the Hammond money combined. Tears stung her eyes. Father Matthews continued. There's something you should know. After James got sick, he came to see me. Made a confession. Said he was terrified his mother would destroy you after he died. Said he'd set things up to protect you, but he was worried it wouldn't be enough. Did he say what he'd done? He said he'd made a map. Instructions hidden where only you would think to look. The family history book. I found it. I know. But Anna, he mentioned something else. Said if things went really wrong, there was a failsafe. Documents that would prove Eleanor wasn't just controlling. She was criminal. Anna sat up straighter. What kind of documents? He didn't specify, but he said they were in his father's study, the old estate office in the East Wing. Eleanor keeps it locked, but James had a key. If you can get access. I can't. The court order only allowed me 4 hours, and that's expired. Father Matthews smiled. But I have a key. Jasper Hammond was a friend. When he died, he gave me a key to his study so I could retrieve some personal letters for his memorial service. Eleanor doesn't know I have it. Never asked for it back. You'd give it to me? James asked me to help you if things went wrong. This is me helping. He pulled a brass key from his pocket. The East Wing entrance is never locked. No one goes there anymore. Get in, search the study, get out. The house is big enough that Eleanor might not even know you were there. This could get you in trouble. I'm 73 years old and answered only to God. Eleanor Hammond doesn't scare me. He pressed the key into her hand. Find what James left for you. Finish what he started. That night, Anna left the children with Maria and drove to the Hammond estate at midnight. The East Wing entrance, just as Father Matthews said, was unlocked. A side door covered in ivy, barely visible from the main house. She slipped inside, flashlight in hand, heart pounding. The study was exactly as James had described it once. Dark wood paneling, a massive desk, filing cabinets. Bookshelves. She searched systematically, trying to think like James. Where would he hide something? In the desk bottom drawer behind a false panel, she found a folder. Inside, financial documents, offshore account statements in Eleanor's name, receipts for cash transfers, and most damning, an invoice from a document forgery service dated 2 weeks after James died. Eleanor had paid someone to forge James's signature on the will she'd presented. Anna photographed everything with her phone, replaced the folder exactly as she'd found it, and slipped out into the humid night. She was halfway to her car when a light came on in the main house. She ran, made it to the car, started the engine, and pulled away just as Eleanor appeared on the front porch in her robe. Their eyes met for one moment. Eleanor's face was pure fury. Monday's hearing would be interesting. Monday morning, Anna arrived at the courthouse with Tom and the documents she'd photographed. Eleanor was already there with Garrison and 2 additional lawyers, reinforcements apparently. Judge Whitmore took the bench. We're here regarding the competing wills of James Robert Hammond. I've reviewed the forensic report. Before I rule, does either side have additional evidence? Tom stood. Your Honor, we have significant additional evidence of fraud. He presented the photographs Anna had taken. Garrison went pale. Eleanor remained composed, but her hands clenched on the table. These documents, Tom explained, show that Mrs. Eleanor Hammond paid a document forgery service to create a fake will shortly after her son's death. Furthermore, these offshore account statements demonstrate she's been siphoning money from the Hammond business for years. Money that should have gone to James and his children. This is outrageous, Garrison said, but his voice lacked conviction. These documents were obtained illegally through breaking and entering. The documents were obtained legally through access granted by Father Matthews, who holds a key to the property given to him by the late Jasper Hammond, Tom said smoothly. He gave Mrs. Hammond permission to retrieve additional personal items her husband had left for her. That's not. Father Matthews had no authority. Father Matthews had explicit authorization from the property's previous owner. Mrs. Eleanor Hammond never requested the key's return. The access was therefore legal. Judge Whitmore examined the documents. His expression shifted from skeptical to shocked to angry. Mrs. Hammond, he said, looking at Eleanor, did you pay Accurate Documents LLC to forge your son's signature on a will? Eleanor lifted her chin. I did what was necessary to protect my family's interests from an opportunistic woman who, yes or no? Silence. Yes, she finally said. But James was not in his right mind when he made that other will. I was correcting a mistake. You were committing fraud. Judge Whitmore's voice was ice. And according to these bank statements, you've been embezzling from the family business for at least a decade. The business is mine. My husband built it. Your husband left it to your son. These documents show you've been stealing from James's inheritance for years. The courtroom was absolutely silent. Judge Whitmore continued. Here's my ruling. The will presented by Eleanor Hammond is fraudulent and void. The will found in the safe deposit box is authentic and will be executed. Anna Hammond is the sole heir to James Hammond's estate, including all property, assets, and business interests. Eleanor stood. Your Honor, you can't. Furthermore, I'm referring this matter to the district attorney for criminal prosecution. Mrs. Hammond, you may wish to retain separate legal counsel. Criminal counsel. This is absurd. I'm a Hammond. My family has been in this town for. Your family's history doesn't put you above the law. He turned to Anna. Mrs. Hammond, Anna, I apologize for what you've endured. The estate is yours. You'll have full access immediately. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Anna gave a brief statement, holding her baby while her older children pressed close. I'm grateful for justice. My husband tried to protect us, and today the court honored his wishes. That's all I have to say. That afternoon, she walked into the Hammond estate as its owner. Eleanor's belongings were being packed by movers. She stood in the foyer, diminished somehow, no longer the imposing figure she'd been. You destroyed this family, Eleanor said quietly. No, you did that yourself. James tried to love you despite your control. I tried to make peace with you, but you couldn't let go. Couldn't accept that your son chose his own life. He chose wrong. He chose love. You chose money and power. And now you have neither. Eleanor left without another word. Anna walked through the house slowly, her children running ahead, exploring rooms they barely remembered. This was home now. Really home. But it felt empty. Like a beautiful shell waiting to be filled with life again. She'd fill it. With her children's laughter. With friends and family. With the life James had wanted them to have. She found Maria in the kitchen, having let herself in through the back door. "You did it," Maria said, hugging her. "We did it. You, Tom, Father Matthews. All of you. What happens now?" Anna looked around the enormous kitchen. "Now I figure out what to do with all this space." The criminal case against Eleanor moved quickly. With the evidence of forgery and embezzlement, the DA offered a plea deal: 5 years probation, restitution to the estate, and permanent relinquishment of any claim to Hammond property. Eleanor took it. The alternative was prison. Anna didn't attend the hearing. She had more important things to do, like turning the Hammond estate into a home. She started with the children's rooms. New paint and colors they chose. New furniture. Their old toys unpacked from those trash bags and displayed like treasures. Her daughter got a room with windows overlooking the garden. Her son got the room next to hers. The baby's nursery filled with light and soft colors. For herself, she took James's old office, not the master bedroom she'd shared with him. That room held too many memories of his illness, his death. She couldn't sleep there. But the office felt right. She could run the business from here, make decisions James would have been proud of. Tom helped her understand the company's finances. Hammond Industries, commercial real estate mostly, properties throughout the South. Steady income if managed well. James was good at this, Tom said, reviewing files. His mother was siphoning off profits, but the underlying business is solid. You could hire a manager. Or I could learn to do it myself. You have 3 small children. I have good childcare and a lot to prove. To myself mostly. She threw herself into learning the business. Spent nap time reading files. Spent evenings taking online business courses. Spent weekends visiting properties, meeting tenants, understanding what James had built. It was hard, overwhelming sometimes, but it was hers. 6 months after the court ruling, she stood in front of the Hammond Industries board of directors. 12 men who'd known James, who'd worked with his father, who clearly doubted she could do this. "Gentlemen," she said, "I know you have concerns. I'm 31. I have no business degree. I waitressed until 7 years ago. You're wondering what the hell I'm doing in this chair. A few uncomfortable shifts. Here's what I know. James built something good here. Ethical practices, fair contracts, long-term relationships with tenants. His mother almost destroyed that by treating this company as her personal piggy bank. I'm not going to do that." She presented her plan. Modest growth, diversification into residential properties, a focus on affordable housing projects that would make money while helping communities. James believed business should do more than make rich people richer. "I'm going to honor that. If you want to stay on the board, I'd love your expertise. If you think I can't do this, you're welcome to leave." No one left. After the meeting, the oldest board member, Charles Wright, who'd been James's father's best friend, approached her. "Jasper would have been proud," he said. "Not of the business. Of you. Of what you're doing for James's legacy. I'm just trying not to screw it up. You're doing better than that. You're making it mean something." A year after James's death, she held a memorial service in the garden. Friends came. People who'd known James. People who'd helped her when Eleanor threw her out. Maria and Tom. Father Matthews. The board members. Even some of Eleanor's former friends who'd quietly switched sides. They planted a tree, a live oak like the ones James had loved. A plaque at its base read, "James Robert Hammond, beloved husband and father, who believed in love, justice, and second chances." Her daughter read a poem she'd written at school. Her son placed a toy car at the tree's base. James had loved cars. The baby, now walking, toddled over and patted the trunk. Anna stood under the summer sky, surrounded by people who loved them, and felt James's presence. Not as a ghost, as a memory. Promise kept. "We made it," she whispered. "Just like you planned." Block 8, The Legacy. 2 years after James's death, Anna received a letter from Eleanor. It was brief. Anna, I won't apologize. I did what I thought was right, but I've had time to think. The children are Hammonds. They deserve to know their grandmother. If you're willing, I'd like to see them. Once a month. Supervised if you prefer. I can't undo what I did, but maybe I can do better going forward. Eleanor. Anna showed the letter to Tom. What do you think? She asked. I think people can change. Sometimes. If they work at it. She tried to destroy us. She did. And she failed. The question is, do you want your children to know her? Anna thought about it for days. Finally, she called Eleanor. 1 hour a month, she said. Here in my home. If you ever try to undermine me with the children, if you ever tell them I'm not good enough, it stops immediately. Understood. The first visit was awkward. Eleanor brought expensive gifts the children didn't need, tried to correct their manners, made subtle comments about their clothes. Anna cut the visit short. I said no undermining. The second visit was better. Eleanor read them a story, answered their questions about their father, cried when the baby called her Gamma. By the sixth visit, something had shifted. Not forgiveness exactly, but a tentative peace. You're doing well with the business, Eleanor admitted one afternoon while the children played in the garden. James would be proud. Thank you. I was wrong about you. You weren't a gold digger. You genuinely loved him. I still do. Eleanor looked at her grandchildren. They're happy. I didn't think you could give them what they needed. But you have. We have everything James wanted us to have. More than that, you've given them something I never gave James. Freedom to be themselves. It was the closest to an apology Eleanor would probably ever come. Anna decided it was enough. 3 years after James's death, Hammond Industries launched its first affordable housing development. 30 units in a neighborhood that desperately needed them. Fair rents. Good maintenance. Community space. At the ribbon cutting, Anna spoke to the gathered crowd. My husband believed everyone deserved a safe home. He believed businesses should serve communities, not just extract from them. This development is in his memory. The first of many, we hope. The mayor called her a visionary. The newspaper ran a feature. Applications for units came in by the hundreds. That night, tucking her children into bed, her daughter asked, Mommy, why do people call you a visionary? I don't know, baby. I just try to do what Daddy would have done. Was Daddy a visionary? He was. He saw the world not just as it was but as it could be. And he tried to make it better. Like you do. I try. I want to be like that too. Anna kissed her forehead. You already are. 5 years after James's death, Anna remarried. Not to someone wealthy. Not to anyone from Magnolia Springs elite circles. To Carlos, the superintendent of one of their affordable housing properties. A widower with 2 kids of his own. Someone who understood loss. Who understood what it meant to rebuild. The wedding was small. Family and close friends. No expensive venue. Just the garden at the Hammond estate, under the live oak they'd planted for James. Before the ceremony, her daughter asked, Is Daddy okay with this? Anna knelt down. I think Daddy wants us to be happy. And Carlos makes us happy, doesn't he? Yeah, he's nice. And his kids are fun. Then I think Daddy's okay with it. That night, dancing with Carlos under string lights while their 5 combined children played nearby, Anna felt something she hadn't felt in years. Not just content. Not just surviving. Happy. James had given her this. Had fought to protect her. Had made sure she and the children had not just money but security. Freedom. A future. She would never forget that gift. Or stop honoring it. 7 years after James's death, Anna found one last secret. She was renovating the library, finally making it a space the children could use, not a shrine to Hammond wealth, when she found a loose floorboard under the desk. Inside, a letter. Addressed to her in James's handwriting. Anna, if you're reading this, you've won. You've protected our children. You've built a life for them. I'm so proud of you. There's something I never told you. About why my mother hated you so much. When I was 22, I fell in love with a girl named Rachel. She was wonderful. Kind. From a working-class family. My mother destroyed that relationship. Paid Rachel to leave. Told her she'd never be accepted, that I'd eventually resent her for holding me back. Rachel believed her. Left without saying goodbye. I found out years later that Rachel was pregnant when she left. My mother knew. Paid her enough to disappear completely. I have an 18-year-old daughter somewhere I've never met. When I met you, I swore I wouldn't let my mother do that again. I would protect you. Protect our family. That's why I made those secret plans. Why I hid the will. I don't know if you'll ever find Rachel or my daughter. But if you do, if you can, tell them I'm sorry. Tell them I never stopped looking. I love you forever. James. Anna sat on the library floor, letter in hand, crying. James had a daughter. A grown daughter he'd never known. She had to find her. It took 6 months of investigators and searches. Finally, they located Rachel Martinez in Atlanta, working as a nurse, living a quiet life, with a 25-year-old daughter named Sarah. Anna called, explained who she was, asked if they could meet. Rachel was skeptical. Why now? Because James never knew about you. Your mother lied to him. And he spent his life trying to find you. They met at a coffee shop in Atlanta. Rachel, now in her 50s. Sarah, beautiful and guarded. Anna showed them James's letter. Told them everything. The estate. The fight with Eleanor. The life James had built. He never stopped loving you, Anna said to Rachel. Even after he married me. He talked about the girl he'd lost. I never knew it was you. Rachel cried. I thought he'd chosen his mother over me. Chose money over love. He chose you. His mother took that choice away. Sarah asked, why are you telling us this? Because you're James's daughter, which makes you my children's sister, which makes you family. If you want to be. They didn't answer right away. But 3 months later, Sarah visited Magnolia Springs, met her 3 younger half-siblings, walked the estate her father had owned, saw his grave. He seemed like a good man, she said. He was. He would have loved knowing you. Do I have any claim to the estate? Yes. You're his legal heir just like my children. I've already talked to Tom about setting up a trust for you. You'll inherit equally with your siblings. Sarah's eyes widened. I wasn't asking for money. I know. But it's right. It's what James would have wanted. Over the next few years, Sarah became part of the family, visited regularly, built relationships with her half-siblings, even tentatively connected with Eleanor, who was shocked to learn she had a 4th grandchild. James would have wanted this, Eleanor said one afternoon, watching all 4 of James's children play together in the garden. He always believed in family, real family, not just blood and money. He did, Anna agreed. That's what we're building here. What he started. 10 years after James's death, Anna stood in the garden at the Hammond estate during the annual memorial celebration. It had become a tradition. Friends, family, community members gathering to remember James and celebrate the foundation established in his name. The Hammond Foundation provided legal aid to families fighting probate fraud, funded affordable housing, supported widows and widowers navigating estates. Her children, now 17, 15, and 11, helped run the event. Her daughter, following in her father's footsteps, had already been accepted to business school. Her son wanted to be an architect designing affordable housing. The baby, not a baby anymore, wanted to be a lawyer like Tom. Sarah, James's oldest daughter, had moved to Magnolia Springs and worked as the foundation's executive director. Carlos stood beside Anna, his arm around her waist. Their blended family had grown into something beautiful and complex and real. Eleanor, now in her 70s and significantly humbled, sat with the grandchildren, telling stories about James as a boy. Tom, semi-retired, gave a speech about justice delayed but not denied. Father Matthews, now 83, blessed the gathering. As the sun set, Anna stood beside James's tree, huge now, providing shade for dozens of people. Her daughter joined her. You okay, Mom? Yeah, baby. Just thinking about your dad. About how much has changed. Do you think he'd be happy with how things turned out? Anna looked around. At the family they'd built. The foundation they'd created. The lives they'd changed. I think he'd be amazed. And yeah, happy. That night, after everyone left, Anna sat alone in the garden, whispered to the tree, To the man who'd planted the seeds of everything they'd become. We did it, James. Exactly like you planned. Better even. The kids are thriving. The business is strong. The foundation is helping people. And Eleanor, she's actually trying to be a better person. Miracles do happen. The wind moved through the leaves. Cicadas sang. The humid southern air carried the smell of magnolia blossoms. And Anna felt not for the first time like James was there. Not haunting. Not trapped. Just present. In the life they'd built together. In the family they'd protected. In the justice they'd fought for. Some inheritances come with chains. Others come with wings. And James had given her both. The weight of responsibility and the freedom to fly. What did you think of this story? Leave your thoughts in the comments and rate it from 0 to 10. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell so you won't miss the next story.